Welcome, my dear viewer, to the Leadership Challenge Show, brought to you by Rev Felix Kavoi. As EBN, we have a burden to improve and to impact the leadership we have in this country, the leadership we have in our churches, and the leadership we have in our families. Because of leadership challenges, societies have remained behind. Communities are lagging behind in development because of poor leadership. Our prayer and our endeavor is to challenge leaders to stand up to their calling and perform what they were elected to perform. At the bottom of the screen, there is a number. Keep texting to us and let us know your views as we discuss this important leadership discussion. With me in studio is the senior pastor of Buruburu Baptist Church, a friend and a longtime minister of the gospel in the city of Nairobi, Reverend Kenneth Akwenyu. Please greet us and introduce yourself.
Good evening, viewers. As you have been told by Reverend Kavoi, my name is Pastor Kenneth Akwenyu, serving at the Buruburu Baptist Church. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
You are welcome, Sam. And we get down into it and discuss leadership. In our previous discussions, we saw what leadership is and the challenges that leaders encounter. And today, we want to look at models that we find in the Bible. And the Word of God, the Bible, has presented us with various models of leadership. One of the powerful models of leadership is the leadership that we see in the life of Moses, leading the children of Israel from Egypt to the promised land. I believe this is a model that if our leaders will pay attention to, they can also lead their communities, their families, their churches, their constituencies, and their counties to the promised land. To help us discuss this, let's begin by asking ourselves, and Reverend Ken, thank you for being here. Please help us to understand, do you believe that the leadership of Moses is a model leadership that can be copied in our time?
Moses presents to us a leadership that can be emulated with those of us who are endeavoring to be leaders and servant leaders for that matter. Because when God is referring to Moses, he's always referring to him as my servant Moses. So when we come into leadership, as we had indicated earlier, it's important for us to understand that we are coming to serve.
We are coming to serve. Leadership is service.
Leadership is service.
Beautiful.
So when we understand that and look at Moses' way of leadership, we know that he shuttles between man and God, God and man, offering his service to God and to the people.
Well, let's look at the leadership style of Moses. What are some of the qualities of leadership that stand out in the life of Moses?
As we look at Moses as an example for our leadership, we need to understand how he comes about. Moses is born at a time when children are being killed by a pharaoh in Egypt. But the most interesting thing is that when the parents of Moses looks at this child, they sense something special about the child.
They sense.
So when everybody else is killing their children. The mother decides to hide the child, and then eventually they take the child to the river. And interestingly, the child is saved by Pharaoh's own daughter. And then, as Pharaoh is killing children outside there, he is feeding Moses in his own bedroom.
Yes.
So he goes outside, but leaves a leader right inside his bedroom.
The house.
And then Moses, as we see, he begins to learn a lot in the time that is in Egypt.
Does this really speak something to us about leaders being chosen by God and being protected by God to be the leaders they are today?
That is true, because it's not even it's just being chosen by God, but also God being able to impress upon those around this person.
Yes.
For them to be able to see how special the person is or the child is from all others who are around him.
Yes.
So the realization that this is a leader then comes from God, and then the people around the leader are able to see what God is seeing, because God also helps them to see that. So we see that, and then as we look at Moses, then Moses also, a leader needs to listen. So when he sees a burning bush and he rushes to see what is happening in this burning bush, he's called, and when he's called, we see him listening to who has called him.
Yes, yes.
That means that we must also be ready to be sensitive to the call of God into leadership, so that when God is calling us, we know that he's calling us to lead his people. So Moses does that. When the Lord calls him, he also looks down. Moses humbles himself before God. He does not say, now that I am the leader who has been chosen by God. He really humbles himself. So we see another quality that Moses exposes to us is the quality of humility. He is such a humble person. And then we also look at Moses as he leads the children of Israel to the promised land. There is another aspect. He's leading them from a person who does not want to let them go. And then this gentleman, when Moses says, let my people go, he says, okay, you will go, but not very far, just around.
Before we continue further, let us talk about the liberation, because it's the call of God to Moses to liberate his people. We are looking at leadership today in our country, in our nation, in our churches, wherever leaders are leading. We need to bring it to the leaders to understand that their call is unto liberation. And I wish you could say something about leaders liberating their people.
He knew that his aim was to liberate, have the people set free from slavery.
Yes.
And then go and serve the God that they were supposed to serve. But then we see this other leader is withholding the people from going where they ought to go. But Moses is uncompromising.
He is uncompromising.
Unless they go to where they are called to go, we are doing nothing. So as a leader, when you know where you ought to go, and the other time we are talking about visions and calls, you know that I have to take these people to a particular place. Moses was so uncompromising to where he wanted to go, he would not take anything short of the past. So as leaders, we also need to be uncompromising in when we have set standards and say, these are the standards, this is the place I want my people to go, this is the level at which I want my leadership to operate at. So it doesn't matter whether somebody else has other ideas, but this is where I want to take the people, and that's where we are going. So Moses sees that, and Moses is adamant.
So he works at it. He works at it for his people to be liberated. What would you say about a leader who has been a leader for so many years and his people are not liberated? Challenge the leadership that we have today on the basis of Moses, because we see Moses tirelessly and fearlessly going again to Pharaoh and demanding that the people be set free. We may not have a Pharaoh that is sitting on a throne somewhere commanding him to let the people go, but our communities are held back by issues and problems and challenges. sicknesses, disease, bad roads, bad development. Challenge our leadership when it comes to working and pressing for the liberation of their people.
Fathers should know what they are liberating people to, and
Yes.
where they are liberating people from.
Yes.
When you know that where they are is not where they're supposed to be, the
Yes.
level at which, probably look at, you're talking about education.
Education.
You want to give your people the best education that they can ever find.
Yes.
And then you make sure that what makes for good education is provided.
Yes.
You want to make sure that people are liberated from poverty. What policies am I putting in place? What strategies am I putting in place to make sure that the economy is improved, so
Yes.
that people are liberated from poverty? You are looking at somebody who wants a nation that is healthy, a nation that has people who are able to work, because sick people don't work.
Yes.
So you need therefore also to put in place strategies and measures that will make sure that the hospitals are well built, the hospitals are well stocked with good personnel, and then with good facilities.
Yes.
That will make sure that the people you want treated in those hospitals, when they go there, they get the best of the best, so that you are not settling
Yes.
just for the bare minimum.
Yes.
Because if you settle for the bare minimum, that is mediocrity. So you must know what does it entail
Yeah.
for a good hospital? What does it entail for a good school? What does it entail for good roads? What is it? You are not just having these things for the sake of it. You want things that will last. You want things that will impact
Yes.
positively in the lives of the people that you are leading, so that they are able to stand on their own feet.
Yes.
And be able now to know where I am. My leader has done this. My part is now to make sure that I live the kind of life that I
Wonderful.
needed to live.
Wonderful. We are covering a lot of ground in our discussion today. We are seeing that leadership is a call of God. So every leader needs to realize that I must answer to the call of God. It's not just a matter of enjoying the privileges that come with the position of leadership, but you are answering a call of God, and this call of God is a call unto liberating the people from the bondage of poverty, and bondage of bad roads, and bondage of let me take a case in point, and this is not to point fingers to anybody. I really was pained to go to bury a woman that died somewhere in a county that I don't want to mention, but the woman started to be sick at 9:30 p.m. But according to the situation of that village, there is no road. Even a motorbike cannot reach that home. A motorbike, with all the money that is going to counties. So what the husband of this woman could have done was to tell the woman, just drink some water and try to do some first aid for morning to come. And guess what? The woman passes on by 5 a.m. Could not see the light of day. If there was a good road, the woman would have been taken to. So these are the bondages that we are talking about. And I don't know, but we have to tell our leaders that they should not be, because it's amazing that a leader is failing to deliver his people from bondage, and they still want to be elected again. They still want to continue being leaders. What can we tell these leaders who have been in leadership for so long and they are not delivering their people? What can we tell them?
So another thing is, let me flip it on the other side.
Yes.
We need to do civic education. We need to educate the people to know what their rights are.
Yes.
Sometimes they think that is all they need to have. So even when you, who knows what it ought to be, go there, you get surprised. But for them, they don't seem to understand that there is money for this, there is money for that. So what we would do then, we need also to encourage the government to do civic education, or we see now a lot of what we call the non-governmental organizations do civic education for people to understand what it is that they really need. Because again, when you live in ignorance,
yes, people will take advantage of
people will take advantage of
they
you.
will use you.
So
and
that is
you.
and exactly that's what we're saying.
Yes.
That education is key. When people are educated,
people must know
means
their rights.
it means that they will know their rights. It means they will be exposed to what ought to be.
Beautiful.
So you could be blaming the leader, and yet these people are not even demanding. They are satisfied with the status quo.
They are clapping.
And they are clapping because the guy will go there, give them 50 shillings, give them that during funerals and things like that.
Yes.
And then they think he's a good man. He brought my person from Nairobi to come and bury. That's not what we call leaders to do.
Wow. Reverend, you are very kind in your words, but really for me, it's shameful.
Shameful.
Shameful for a leader who is driving around big cars with chase cars, eating all the money, spending all the money, and a woman is dying in the village for lack of access, even a motorbike. We went for burials. I attended the burial of that woman. We carried the coffin for almost a kilometer in this present country, in this present day, with so much resources going to the counties. There is a home that a motorbike cannot reach. It's great shame, and leaders, we need to shape up. Well, we have to take a short break. Thank you so much for the insights on leadership and the challenges that you're giving to the leaders that we have. I believe through this Leadership Challenge show, we are going to improve the leadership we have in this country. We take a short break. When we return, we shall press on with the qualities of leadership that we see in the life of Moses. Welcome back to the Leadership Challenge show with me, Rev Felix Kavoi. We have been discussing the challenges of leadership, and to help us tackle the challenges of leadership, we are studying the leadership model of Moses' leadership, and we are looking at it and comparing with the leadership that we have today, and considering it as a model that can help us to improve in our leadership. We have seen many qualities, because a leader is leading people from a certain point to a certain point. Previously, we have said this, that leadership is taking people to their preferred future and to their beneficial permanence. And every leader needs to know that. It's not just a matter of enjoying the privileges that come with the title that you receive as a leader, but to deliver the people. We press on with the qualities and principles of leadership that we see in the life of Moses. Reverend Kenneth Akwenyu. This man led people from a powerful tyrant king and bondage all the way to the promised land. Is it patience? Is it selflessness? What was it that kept this man going and leading the people?
So we had said earlier that the leader must know exactly where he's taking the people.
Yes.
And then we say that is in his mind, is very clear about his vision.
His vision.
And the calls and the steps that will enable him to be able to take people to that particular place.
Yes.
Therefore, Moses knew that. And then we said he was not going to settle for anything less.
Yes.
So for that reason, he was uncompromising. Whenever Pharaoh would say, just let them go around here, he said, no, it
just
is
go
not
a day's journey and come back.
no, that is not what I want. So there are things which may look better, which may look good, but they are not the best.
Cosmetic development.
Yes, they are not the best.
Yes.
You need to really reach where you know these people have to go.
Yeah.
Then that gave him what we call persistence.
Yeah,
he was so persistent that whenever Pharaoh says no, he goes back again and say, my people need to go to where they ought to go and worship their God.
Is it a problem today that leaders are giving up when they have a vision, yes, they know they are taking people somewhere, but immediately they encounter the first hurdles, they give up?
Unfortunately. But you need to knock those doors where you know that money has to be released.
Yes.
Where you know that resources, human resources has to be released.
Yes.
Where you know that skills have to be released. So these are the things then which will make people and be empowered, as we were talking about, delivering them from poverty.
Yes.
So that they are empowered to be able to stand on their feet instead of giving them handouts. You give them a hand up. In other words, you are helping them to know how to fish, not giving them fish.
I think you need to say that again.
So
instead of an handout, you give a hand up.
A hand up, so that you are leaving these people in a space,
in a better position,
where you will not be giving them things again, but they will be able to know where to I get these things.
You talked about the lesson of teaching people to fish rather than
giving them fish.
Yes.
Because for how long will you give that fish?
Yes. The handouts that our leaders are giving.
The handouts that leaders
every time they go to the constituencies, and that is dishing out little money.
And that's where the problem is, because number one, as I said in the earlier program that we had, if anybody comes and says, I want to be a leader, be afraid of that person. Be very afraid.
Yeah.
Because we see Moses, even when he's being told, you are going to lead the people, he says, not me.
I'm not able.
Please don't get somebody else.
Yes.
But today what happens? Somebody says, I am better, I will do this. They begin to lie to the people. The same lie year in, year out. Yet those people who are, and I know there are good people in this nation who would lead people to where they are desired to go. But because there are people who really want to come and connive, strategize, lobby. You don't need to lobby. Moses did not lobby. No, Daniel did not lobby. Samuel did not lobby. And when we look at the leadership, David did not. When we look at the leadership of these people, we see leaders that really know what it means to be a leader and where they are taking their people and conquering opposition whenever opposition came. So it is important for us to have a persistent leader who knows that this is not it. I am not yet there.
I'm not yet there.
Please let my people go. I want to release them. And that is very important.
Yes.
Together with that, then we see somebody that led sacrificially. This man goes to the mountain. Climbing a mountain is not a small thing.
Yes.
Even if you try to climb the Ngong Hills here, just around here, you get tired.
Yeah.
But this man went to the top of the mountain.
Yes.
And he was not going to feast. He was going to spend his time in prayer for the people and in communication with God.
Yes.
And he really spent time denying himself the leisures of the world. What do our leaders do? They want leisure. They want big vehicles, what they call fuel guzzlers.
Yes.
And those things, you know, we have tried in the past. You say we shall just give them Passats, these small vehicles. They refuse. They refuse because for them, it's about power, position, and prestige. But
power,
a leader,
position, and prestige.
But a good leader, it only means service to the people. So that even when these people are not yet there, you rebuke them. You rebuke them and you make sure that they know what they ought to have.
Yes.
Show them what they need to have, because they also have their own ideas which may not be that which God has intended for you to have them. And that's why,
you see, when you talk about that, I remember Moses sacrificed so much pleasure, wealth, and, you know, titles to lead the people. And I would really want you to talk about it, maybe, because the position we have today for people going into leadership is they are going for better rather than going for duty. Yes, you see. So this man has left in, you know, luxury.
He was a
prince. Palace. And he leaves the palace and he takes the humble position of leading the people through a dangerous wilderness called the Sinai Peninsula, all the way to the promised land. When it comes to sacrificing, being a sacrificial leader.
Moses, as we said, he's a prince. He was a prince in Egypt.
And he was lacking nothing.
He was lacking nothing.
Yes.
He was royalty.
Yes.
So to speak.
Royalty.
But when duty calls for people to have better, because he became unsatisfied, uncontented to see his own people suffering.
Together with everything that was around him.
Because together with everything that was around him, he would have forgotten them.
Yeah.
You would have said, who knows? What have I got to do with them?
Yes.
But he leaves royalty. He leaves princehood to go and make sure that he has taken the people of God where they ought to be.
Yes.
Never mind. A leader also needs to be educated. He was educated in all the tenets of Egypt, the traditions, and no wonder he has written the 5 books of the Bible.
The Pentateuch.
The Pentateuch. So we see a man who was also intelligent, a man who also knew what it is. So we are not just looking at a man from nowhere, but we are looking at a man after leaving royalty. He is in the desert tending flock, sheep, in the desert.
Yes.
And from there, he gains experience. 40 years is not a small thing. So when we say, in our country, when we talk of leaders having a good knowledge, good understanding, good grasp of what they ought to be, we need leaders who are exposed. We need leaders who have their question.
Do you think if some of the leaders we have in this country, if they were to be in the position of Moses, do you think they would have accepted to lead the people of God?
Where on earth? Where on earth would they do like that?
Wow.
When they are still saying they need more allowances.
Yes.
They need this and that every time.
Yes.
And this is the only time we see them agreeing, even when they are in opposite camps. When it comes to raising their salaries or raising their allowances. We don't need leaders who think about themselves.
Their stomach.
And that brings in the issue you said, selflessness.
Yes.
You are not looking at what will benefit you. You are looking at what will benefit the people that you are leading. So, and that's exactly the kind of leaders we really need to have. A people who don't look at what is in it for me, but what is in it for this. And this, as we said, cuts across, not just in the political arena, but we are looking at pastors, we are looking at parastatal chiefs, we are looking at our sub-chiefs, and everybody mandated with leadership. You must be able, first and foremost, to know the real need, not even the perceived need, the real needs of the people, and be sensitive to those needs so that you can be able to take them where you need these people to
So
be.
we need to separate the money motivation from the leadership mandate.
Yes.
Because it appears like many people, let's speak the truth, let's not lie to one another. And you, my dear viewer, please keep on sending us text to, we want to know your views. It's like everybody is going for money. It's not about responsibility. And I think it is not in the minds of many of the leaders that when I become a leader, it's about money. And this money thing has destroyed leadership in our country.
That is now what we call greed.
Yes.
They are being driven by greed.
Greed.
They are being driven by the prestige that comes with leadership. The being looked at as the lion of the community.
Yes.
The person who calls the shots, but not the person who takes the people to where they are supposed to be taken.
Amazing, amazing.
Yes.
We continue to consider the principles of leadership that we see in the leadership of Moses. We need to consider the consistency of Moses. Now the journey has started. They have left Egypt. They are on the wilderness, alone out there, a whole nation, traversing the desert, going to the promised land, and things now begin to arise. Fiery serpents, bitter water, lack of food, lack of meat, lack of water. And we see all these things. Many challenges, and yet we see Moses so relentless, refusing to give up. He was relentless and continue to press on to take the people. What would you say to our leaders today? Because it does not mean that when you begin to lead, there will be no challenges.
Challenges will abound. Challenges will be many. Challenges will be internal. Challenges will be external. Challenges will be from people who don't like you. Challenges will be from your team. So you need to understand when challenges come, learn from what those challenges present.
Yes.
You have to be a good learner. And when you learn, you are able to do it. One thing that we see with Moses, as you speak about that, is that then comes his father-in-law.
Yes.
Who now looks at the challenge Moses has and offers in chapter 18 and offers to give him advice. Because he's a good listener. What does Moses do? He listens. So leaders, good leaders, listen to counsel.
Listen. And then there's something else I see. All the challenges that I mentioned about when there's lack of water, when there's lack of food, when there are snakes in the camp, I see the leader at the top of it.
Because he knew where to get what the people needed.
He seems to be up on top of it, and he seems to be leading the people into getting the solutions.
He consulted the person who...
Is that the leadership we have today?
He consulted the person who had entrusted leadership to him. So you need therefore to know, where do I get the resources? How do I get the resources? How do I use the resources?
Wow, amazing. We must end it there, but it has come out so clearly today that leaders don't have to make every single decision that has to be made in the place of leadership. You need to know how to raise men that can uphold the vision that you have. That was the Leadership Challenge Show today. And I believe time has come for us to seriously think about leadership. And also for those who are in leadership, we must come to the place where we ask ourselves whether we understand the work that we are called to do. We understand what leadership is. Because unless we understand what leadership is, then we will not be able to lead in a way that can bring transformation in the society. So wherever you have watched this show, you need to begin to challenge every leader that is you call your leader, because they must appear to know where they're taking you. We have suffered as a society because leaders don't care to be the person they are supposed to be. And so we have found out that a leader must know where they are going. If you do not know the needs of your organization or the group you are leading, most likely you will lose them on the way and you will not take them to where they are supposed to go. We have talked about many things, and I want you to look out for this same program in these few coming days. We will be here again to talk more on the leadership challenge in our society. Otherwise, for now, we call it a day and keep on watching the rest of the program here at EBN TV. My name's Rev Felix Kavoi, and God bless you.